News CNN reporting this morning on Senator Lindsey Graham's proposed ban on abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy, a national ban. A source tells CNN that the proposal was intended to arm Republicans with a policy issue they could rally around ahead of the midterm elections. Senator Graham's current stance is a reversal from his previous position.
I've been consistent. I think states should decide the issue of marriage and states should decide the issue of abortion. I think we should have a law at the federal level that would say after 15 weeks, no abortion on demand, except in cases of rape, incest, to save the life of the mother.
Consistent, no. Joining us now is CNN Capitol Hill reporter Melanie Zanona and CNN senior reporter Isaac Dovere. Why, Mel, did the senator do this?
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been scratching their heads over this move. And so I talked to some Republicans about exactly why is Lindsey Graham doing this. And really it boils down to this. Republicans privately acknowledge that their messaging on abortion has not worked. Their attempts to run away from the issue have not worked. And so there are some in the party, including Lindsey Graham, who think it's better to now just address the issue head on and show the American people what they do stand for on abortion, which in Graham's proposal would be banning abortion at 15 weeks, not a wholesale ban, and trying to put Democrats on the defense and try to get them to say, okay, at what week do you support restricting abortion? But of course, not everyone in the party agrees that this is a good strategy right before the midterms, especially because it's not a popular position in some of these key battleground suburban swing districts. And in fact, even House conservatives are divided over this. I reported that earlier this week. There was this heated meeting behind closed doors where you had conservatives, some of them saying this goes too far, others saying it doesn't go far enough. House Republicans are rolling out an agenda next week that doesn't even really mention abortion, just in passing says we're going to protect the lives of unborn children and mothers. And so clearly there is this divide in the party, and really the effect that this has had is only exposing those divisions even further.
And it really just throws the midterms into question. How is this going to impact the results there?
Indiana's newly passed law banning most abortions went into effect today. In Ohio, a judge just put on hold for now that state's ban on abortion at 6 weeks. The map you're looking at there shows the state-by-state changes since the Supreme Court's June decision wiping Roe v. Wade off the books. Democrats see evidence that anger at that court decision is helping them in the midterm campaign. And now there's Republican grumbling that one of their own might just be giving the Democrats a gift. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina just introduced legislation that would establish a federal ban on abortions at 15 weeks. Just moments ago, evidence from a top Senate Democrat, Graham's ban, now midterm fuel.
If there is any doubt about Republicans' true intentions, about their extreme abortion plans, there is no question after this week. Their plan is plain as day. Republicans want to ban abortion in every single state, and they want to punish doctors.
Our reporters are back with us. Patty Murray, a prominent Senate Democrat, also on the ballot this year in a race that we're keeping an eye on just in case we get surprised out there. We should applaud politicians who make clear what they believe. Lindsey Graham laying out what he believes. It's the timing that has his Republican colleagues literally banging their heads off the wall.
Well, it's twofold, right? Because one of the things you heard from Republicans for years and years and years is they wanted to return abortion rights to the states. And this takes that off the table, number one. And that's what a lot of his colleagues had. You'd heard other Republicans say that. Number two, the day this happened was a day of not great economic news for the Biden administration, and it completely wiped that out of the news. And instead, we're talking about Lindsey Graham, and none of his Senate colleagues really wanted to discuss it. They wanted to talk about the economy all day. So, and you just saw Democrats kind of gleefully skipping around the Capitol that day because this really was a gift for them.
Right. There's plenty of evidence out there in a lot of places, not everywhere, but in a lot of places, this is helping Democrats in the suburbs. We saw the Kansas referendum. If you're looking at some of the big battleground states, Democrats think, okay, this helps them win back moderate Republicans, independents who might be ready to vote against President Biden and the Democrats because of inflation, because of crime, because of something else. You mentioned Democratic glee. Listen to this. This is several of Lindsey Graham's Republican colleagues rather uncomfortable.
And it's just an issue that people are talking about. But ultimately, the election's going to be about this ridiculous inflation.
I don't think there's anything at the national level, for sure, that comes anywhere close to getting 60 votes.
I support this going out to the states and letting we the people decide.
There it is.
let's be clear here. The vast majority of Republicans in Congress would have supported some form of abortion ban. It's not that they don't support this on the substance for most of them, although many of them have made similar comments that they want to leave it to the states. What they don't want to do is bring it up right now, because as you said, they know that this issue has galvanized voters, not just on the left, but many voters, including independent voters and suburban voters and voters who they are going to need in November. And so to talk about it now, A, it divides the party. That is something you never want to do 8 weeks out from an election. And B, it reminds people that the election is a choice. And actually, Lindsey Graham said this out loud when he had his news conference earlier this week, that if you elect Republicans, this kind of thing will get a vote. And if you elect Democrats, it probably never will. And that is a message that Republicans probably don't want voters to be thinking about as they're trying to weigh, should I vote for the Democrat or should I vote for the Republican in my state? Now, for some voters, that might, steer them toward the Republican, but they would rather that not be the ground on which people are going to be deciding this election. They would much.
Sure didn't. Mitch McConnell said when he was asked about it, whether he would put the man who controls the schedule, and assuming if they take the House, or excuse me, the Senate, he would control the schedule again, was kind of dismissive of that. So apparently Graham didn't really connect.
Right. And we just talked about the New Hampshire Senate race. Maggie Hassan, the Democrat there. It's a tough state. It's a tough state for her immediately. She thinks this issue helps her in the suburbs where the votes are.
This is about whether you're going to take rights away from half the population and whether politicians are going to insert themselves into an examining room during very complicated and tragic and difficult circumstances.
Thank you, Senator Graham.
Yeah, there's a reason Democrats are gleeful about this. There's a reason they're talking about this. There's a reason they're very forceful and not shying away from this issue, because they're seeing it in the numbers. They've seen it in the Kansas vote during that special election. They saw it up in upstate New York during that special election, and other special elections in which they've overperformed since the Dobbs ruling. And it's very clear that they feel like they can go on offense over this because they have not only supercharged Democratic voters, but also moderate voters, and even some Republican voters, like we saw in Kansas, that aren't happy about that decision and aren't happy about where Republicans are taking.
And the data so far tells us it helps the Democrats. We don't know that it will on Election Day in November, but the data so far tells us that. Some Democrats think it could be so overwhelming that you get a surprise. You're from the state of Ohio, the Democratic candidate for governor there. That's an uphill race, running as a Democrat for Ohio governor in a Democratic president's first midterm election year. Listen to this ad from Nan Whaley thinking maybe this issue helps.
Without that abortion, my children wouldn't have their mother, and this baby wouldn't be on the way right now. Mike DeWine has basically banned abortion in Ohio. I would have died without mine.
You also had that horrible story about the young girl who had to go to another state, who was 10, who was abused to get an abortion in Ohio. So they've had some extremely tragic cases already that have made headlines. I don't know if it's going to help someone like Nan Whaley, who is so far behind. That race hasn't looked like it's really moved very much. Stranger things have happened. It's a lot of time till November. But you have seen some, Congressman Ryan is in a lot of polls, several polls, ahead of J.D. Vance at this point. Now, there are a couple of reasons for that, but you've seen voter registration among women go up in Ohio. And as you said, we don't know that that's going to help Democrats, but a lot of Ohio Democrats sure think it's going to.